Jerry and Debbie. And we are live today, but it's just me, all alone, by my lonesome. But I need your help because you've never disappointed us in 3 years. So I know you're going to fill the phone lines when I introduce the topic. So why isn't Jerry here this week? Well, Jerry will be back with us on Friday. And we decided that after the 3-year anniversary, and thank you so much for all the wonderful comments that you shared with us and the congratulations and everything about Take Two, that it just warmed our hearts. Thank you so very, very much to everybody that reached out to us and just sent their prayers and their love and their support. We love you guys so very, very much. But Jerry and I were trying to think of some kind of anniversary celebration, and we decided that neither one of us have ever taken really a vacation for the past 3 years. And so Jerry's taking a few short days this week to take a vacation, and I'll be taking a few days around my husband's birthday, July 3rd. And so that was our anniversary gift to ourselves. So a couple days off. Much needed rest and relaxation and kind of recharge our batteries and come out this next year of Take Two just feeling totally refreshed, energized, ready to go, new topics, and it's just going to be a great time. So Jerry is taking just a couple days off this week. He'll be back on Friday, so you just have me. And we staggered our vacations because we wanted to have one of us to be with you and to have live shows. So we're always thinking about you, our Take Two family. So we're asking you to really step up and not leave me alone this week because being the youngest of 6 kids, I don't like being alone. So there you go. Here's the topic today. And we do listen to the suggestions that come in. This suggestion was brought up by my very, very dear friend who I consider a sister in North Carolina, Kristen. And she said, why don't you do a show on how to parent adult children? We pretty much all know how to parent, or we should know how to parent young children. It's kind of common sense ways in there, and we do the best we can in every circumstance with young children. But then our children grow up. They become 18, 21, in their late 20s, early 30s. They get married. They have families of their own. How do we parent them? Is it a different set of rules? Do we all of a sudden switch from being a parent to a best friend? Is that always the healthy thing to do? What do we do with our adult children? So we're asking you, if you've raised your family and now you have adult children, how do you parent them? What works in your family? We'd like to know so we can all use it right away in our own families. So here's the number. Weigh in on this. And here's how you know if you are being called. If you feel that little nudge in your spirit, that it's kind of like nagging at you and it just says, you know what, I have something to say. I could really help somebody else, but I don't have time. I'm at work, or I've got my errands to do, or whatever. But you know what? I really could help somebody. That's the nudge we're looking for. We want you to say yes to it and call in. Here's the number: 1-833-288-3986. That's the number to call. Here's how it works. You're going to call up. You're going to speak to Matt Gabinski. He's wonderful. I always say it because I just love talking to him. He's going to talk to you for a few minutes, and then he's going to put you on hold. But when you're on hold, you get to listen live. So if you think to yourself, I've never called into a radio show, because I've thought this myself as well. Like, I'm thinking I'm going to be on hold and somebody else is going to say what I was going to say, and then I'm going to get on the air and I'm going to look foolish because they just said it. No, you're going to get to listen live, which means you're going to hear what other people are saying, and then we'll put you into the discussion at just the appropriate place. Matt Gabinski does a fabulous job. Rich Jesse, our producer, is in charge of everything, and he's just making it happen. He's that kind of like the Wizard of Oz behind the curtain. It's awesome. And then Jeff Burson is monitoring social media. So if you want to weigh in via Facebook or YouTube, hi, you guys. You guys are already on the chat talking away. That's awesome. You can weigh in there as well, and Rich will put it up on the screen for me to read. Now, keep in mind, I may move a little slower today because Jerry and I, when we do this together, we kind of go back and forth, and Jerry's watching one thing, I'm watching another thing. And so I'm doing this all myself. So now I kind of feel like the wizard behind the curtain. So help me out here and call in at 833-288-3986. Today we're talking about parenting adult children. Parenting adult children. Think about that for a moment. The kids grow up, they leave the house, they have minds of their own, they make decisions on their own. They get married to people that maybe we're thinking to ourselves, what are they thinking? You know, you can see, you can just feel all the red flags, but your children, you know, they have to make their own decisions. They're adults now. They have their own free will. How do we impart our wisdom as parents? Because we've lived it, we've been there, done that, but we don't want to look like we're controlling everything. We don't want to look like we're taking away their freedom. We want them to grow. We want them to mature, but yet we still want to protect them. We're their parents. What's the balance there? Okay, you see where we're going with this? So that's the question we're putting out there to you, dear listeners. We want you to weigh in. Phone lines are lighting up. So that's a good sign. That means you have something to say, and we have something to learn from you. 833-288-EWTN. That's the number to call. 833-288-3986. You can also text us. You text the letters EWTN to 55000. You wait for a response, and then you put your first name in, your question or your comment, and I'll put it into the discussion. You guys have something to say about this, so when we come back from this short break, we're going right to Barbara. Barbara, hold on. We want to hear your wisdom about it. Parenting adult children today.
Father John Riccardo.
When you and I wake up every day, do we strive to know Jesus or not? Quick question to you and me right now. Is that what you and I are doing every single day?
The leading Catholic voices are on EWTN Radio.
Being part of EWTN Media Missionaries is a perfect way to help us fulfill our calling from Christ to make disciples of all nations. Visit EWTNmissionaries.com and join us in sharing the eternal word with the world.
60 on 10 with Monsignor Charles Pope.
The fourth commandment, honor your father and your mother. This commandment enjoins on us as young children not only obedience to their parents and even older children, great honor for them, but also gratitude for all of our elders, teachers, employers, and leaders. It also directs citizens to a proper love of our country. So it's a rich commandment. And it also puts great requirements on those who are in those positions to be worthy of the honor that is due them. This commandment is fundamentally given to us by God because without respect for our elders, there can be no teaching, and we cannot hand on the wisdom of previous generations. This commandment is rich, and it is for us. The fourth commandment, honor your father and your mother.
EWTN. Live truth. Live Catholic.
One of my favorite programs I just want to highlight for you is Catholic Connection with Teresa Tomeo. Tomorrow morning, 9 Eastern Time. Teresa and her guests share their Catholic perspective on the day's news and newsmakers. Teresa is fabulous. I just sing her praises all the time. She is so good as a journalist. And I'll tell you what, I would definitely listen to what Teresa has to say. So check out Catholic Connection, 9 Eastern Time. It could really maybe help you to stay informed and see what's going on out there. It's kind of unsettling, I'll be honest with you. There's so many things out there right now in the world that I always say it's just crazy. But you know what? We have God on our side, and we know the end of the story. So it's all good. We fight the good fight and keep going, right? Just wanted Jeff Burson. How quick he is. He's awesome. Expert at this. He just posted a few social media comments, and I wanted to read a couple on Facebook. Steve said, once the child leaves the nest, your job is to be someone with an opinion and a concern for them. You don't really have any special authority anymore. Interesting, Steve. That's very interesting. And what happens, though, when our children don't leave the nest at 18? You know, when I was growing up, my parents, it was kind of, I think it was just knew it, that about 18 we were looking for our way into the world. And so I guess my parents even started early saying to us, well, what are you going to do when you hit 18, But now kids are staying home at 25 to try and save money to pay off debt, to college debt and stuff like that. So they're staying at home in their 20s. And I even know a few young men that used to be students of mine in religious education, and they've decided that they really like it at home, and they're approaching 30 years old, and they like having all the bills paid and all that taken care of. They don't want to worry about it. So that's really interesting. Andrew said on Facebook, Jesus himself moves to call us friends. Can we strive to be anything less for our own children? That inner family love is a very personal love and certainly should at least be at the level of friendship. Wow, that is really cool. Who just sent that? Let's see. That was Andrew. Thank you so much. See, the Facebook and YouTube chats are going strong. So let's go to Barbara on the phone, who's been waiting so patiently in West Virginia on the EWTN app. And let's hear what Barbara has to say about parenting adult children. Hi, Barbara. Welcome to Take Two with Jerry and Debbie, but just me today. I hope it doesn't disappoint you.
Oh, no. Hi, Debbie.
Hi,
Pleasure
Barbara.
to talk with you.
Thank
I don't normally call in on shows, but I just felt so impressed by the Spirit to do so because my children are grown, and I even have grandchildren. The oldest one turned 20, so it's one of those things that's a hard thing. It's a hard road to walk because you have been so used to guiding your children's lives. And then they become adults, and they no longer want you to guide their lives. And I feel like we're not really called to do that. We're called to be an example and to love them. And, yes, be their friend to a certain extent. We still have that parent-child relationship, but in a different way. And my children are so loving toward me that I'm so thankful for that. But I wanted to just give you one example of the thing about it. The most important thing is for us to pray for them, that they will make right choices. And, of course, they don't always do that, but they have to learn from those mistakes. And one time when I saw some destructive behavior going on in my son, I would try to a couple of times approach him with that, but it was like he didn't want to hear that. So I just continued to pray, and I just kept asking the Lord to give me opportunity and the right time to talk with him. But that didn't happen. He wasn't open to it. But then the Lord impressed upon me one day in deep prayer, don't try to do the job of the Holy Spirit. Just be the mother and continue to pray and set the right example. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't long after that until the Holy Spirit did do that work that was needed. And he's a wonderful young man and father now.
Oh,
and I'm just so thankful for that. So our relationships do change, but it's not something that we can know right now. We have to just walk through it.
Right. So Barbara, let me get this straight because I'm trying to make some notes here. And that's a beautiful story that you shared. But my takeaway from your story is that as parents of adult children, we've got to have patience. We've got to be leaning on God. We've got to wait for the Holy Spirit, the right timing, and we've got to be rooted in prayer. And we've got to let go of some of those old, maybe control feelings that we have as parents, because we do want to fix things right away, and that's what parents do. And so that was the right takeaway then.
Yes.
Nice. Real quickly before I let you go, Barbara, because it's just, how many adult children do you have?
I have two.
Two. Is it a boy and a girl?
A boy and a girl.
Okay, boy and a girl. And let me ask you this question. So do you have to relate to your adult young man, your son, differently than your daughter?
Somewhat, yes. Yes.
Okay.
I think
so you got to tailor it. Go ahead.
It's kind of like it's turned out that my son tends to think that he is responsible for taking care of me now because his father died. And so he's kind of very protective of me and very attentive, more so than my daughter is. I think it's just because he's a man and he thinks that he needs to pay attention that way.
Well, that's a beautiful gift because I'll tell you
it is.
Yeah, we've been doing this show for 3 years, and we actually hear that a lot of times the sons go and they have their own families, their own jobs and everything, and sometimes parents feel left out. It sounds like your son is really giving that precious gift of caring for you. How beautiful is that? That's a wonderful gift back to you. Barbara, do we have I'm so sorry for your loss of your husband. Do we have your husband's name in our prayer book?
He's been gone now for 16 years, and but his name is Layman.
Layman, okay.
And
got it.
I would appreciate his name being added.
Absolutely. And we'll add your whole entire family. Thank you so much, Barbara, for being open to the Spirit and calling in. And what you had to say it really sets the tone for the discussion. And that's awesome. God bless you. You sound like a great mom, and your children are very blessed to have you. And I'm sure you're going to tell me you're so blessed to have your children. So thank you so much.
For sure.
Thank you. Thank you. Have a beautiful rest of your day in West Virginia. And thanks for calling in to Take Two with Jerry and Debbie. Marianne weighed in via text, and she says, very interesting. She says, say less and listen more. Always ask their permission to give them advice first. When you do advise, be short and sweet and to the point. Don't keep repeating yourself. Nice. That was very good, Marianne. That's good advice there, because I like that about don't keep repeating yourself, because when the kids were little, we did repeat ourselves a lot, didn't we? It's very interesting. So as they're adults, you're relating to another a mature adult, and so you don't want to repeat yourself, because you wouldn't do that with a friend. Your friend would tell you, quit repeating yourself. I've heard that already. So that's true. Good advice, Marianne. Thank you for weighing in via text messaging. Let's go next to Sylvia in Lubbock, Texas. Sylvia is listening on Our Lady of Victory radio, and thank you so much, Sylvia. Welcome to Take Two with Jerry and Debbie.
Hello, and
Hello.
God bless everybody.
Thank you.
Yes, I've been listening to the answers that are being given out, and that's really beautiful advice, and that's exactly what I do. So thank you, amen, because we're not on this alone, right? I do the same thing with my children. I am 49. I have my children of 4. My story is a little bit difficult, too. It's going to take too many hours. But I believe in Christ, and I instill Christ in my children and tell them how to understand the love He is for us. I try to explain to them of the bad habits that we can contain as when we're young and growing up. We kind of get so discerned and using the same things, repeating everything, that we forget that feeling and emotion we're supposed to have behind it. We're always supposed to be thankful and grateful to God for everything that we have. For every breath that we take, and He's given it to us. And it's helpful to get them to understand where they stand in life, that they're just as perfect, as the clouds are in the sky, that they're a part of us. They're just little, and just like we make a difference, they're going to make a big difference too. So we can't not pay attention to our children.
Right.
And I know that I am being empowered to say these things because I was not really thinking of calling. I like to kind of stay secret and to myself. I do have my children that are very blessed, and I get my blessings answered. They're answered to me by prayer. I I'm a very disciplined person in prayer. I pray not just for myself, but for my world, for you, for people to be reached to other people. And I'm glad that it's actually finally happening. Mm-hmm. I'm a person that's been praying for 25 years on her knees for a difference and a change for this world, because I believe in everybody, and everybody needs to understand that everybody believes in everybody. I teach this to my children, and my children have become very strong people in this world, up to my youngest being an engineer. It's all in prayer, because God places us where we need to be. Right. We just have to be able to listen, and we can listen when we understand to discipline ourselves when we pray.
Mm-hmm. Well, Sylvia, let me ask you this question, because you said you had 4 children, and it sounds like you're very free to speak about your faith with your children. It sounds like you're a great example to your children, and your children have received that. There are a lot of families out there where the children are very closed off. They don't want to talk about faith. They don't want to talk about God. They don't want to talk about going to Mass every single week. How were you able to keep those lines of communication open? Did your children, was that just understood in your family, or did your children grow? Yeah, tell us a little bit about that, because I think that could help a lot of other families.
You have to empower the love of God in them. What I'm trying to explain is love lives in your heart. That itself, you pass to your children, your love. You can beat any adversary that flows around and that's just trying to seize any opportunity and through temptation. By love, I empower my children. I will tell you my story. My son is in probation for 10 years. I became a war party to prayer. Because I knew who my son was and what he wasn't. He is not a perfect person, and neither am I. But when we understood that we had a difference into seeing life in his way, we took it. It has been 25 years that I've taken it. I'm 49 right now. Doesn't matter what age you are, you can understand who he is. My youngest, my grandson, is 2 years old. I can speak to him and let him know that God loves him. And he can look at me and nod his head and say yes. So they have understanding, and we have understanding, that we have forgotten how to speak to our own families. We have forgotten to tell them that we love them for who they are and how they are, and their mistakes do not define them. Their mistakes are bad habits that have accumulated and keep accumulating because they have become discerned and they do not know and see it anymore. That we can tell them that we love them like I have told mine. I have bought my son with my love by telling him that I love him until my end of my life. Mm-hmm. It doesn't matter what mistake he has made or what mistake he is making. I will be there. And when he chooses to take my hand and understand that it's a lifestyle that he has to take, and it's his walk and his cross to pay for all the mercies that God gives to him, because he gives it to him. He's a builder now. He builds houses. Amen. It took Praise him God. A long time to get him off that couch. So I'll say this to all the mothers out there. You don't give up with your love. And I'll tell you right now, to all the children out there too, that a mother's love is so deep, 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 deeper than the ocean. And it won't stop. We know this. So to all the mothers in this world, I say, you can save your children with your love. You pray. You pray. And you can save your family. I saved mine. And I'm okay. And I have been praying for everybody to wake up, to understand these words, the compassionate words of love, that we do love each other. These differences doesn't matter. Mm-hmm. We can love one another. Amen. We can love each other's children and pray for each other's children. If we understand.
Yeah. Well, Sylvia, I have to tell you something. Your powerful words, I think, have resonated deep in all of our hearts right now who are listening. So thank you. I thank you for being a strong woman of faith, for a beautiful mom who's never going to give up on her children. And that is a testament to the love you have for God and the love you have for those beautiful 4 children that are in your care. You know, and Sylvia, what you have to say, I think, is so important. We must must get back to the basics, and that is we have to start with God with prayer. And we have to be, when you kept talking about love, Sylvia, all I kept thinking about is, God is love. Love is God. So important. And how we translate that, how we transmit that to our families is so empowering. And you is a perfect example, what you were talking about with your son. God bless you for saying yes and calling in today, because it impacted me. I just know I'll probably get emails after the show saying Sylvia's call really made an impact on me as well. So thank you for stepping up and using your voice to encourage all of us to be those moms that we know we are inside. We have that unconditional love for our children. And sometimes we do give up because it's too hard. But you know what, Sylvia, your call, that's going to give us the power to keep going. So thank you for that. God bless you, and have a beautiful rest of your day in Lubbock, Texas. Folks, this is Take Two with Jerry and Debbie. We have these real conversations about topics that affect all of us. So please weigh in on it at 833-288-3986.
Post your intentions on the prayer wall on Jerry and Debbie's website. To get there, just click on the bright yellow J&D logo at take2show.com. Jerry and Debbie personally reply to every prayer intention that's posted. Others will also offer you their prayer support. When there's something important you want prayers for, post it on the prayer wall on Jerry and Debbie's site. Visit take2show.com, click on the J&D logo today.
Hi, I'm Doug Keck, and this is an EWTN bookmark brief. I just finished talking with Father Joseph Roche, a friend of ours from the Marians of Immaculate Conception, and the book is Fatima, A Pilgrimage with Mary, published by our friends at Marian Press. Tell us, Father Joe, give us an overview of what this book's about.
Well, it's a beautiful picture book, what we call a coffee table book, with some beautiful pictures of the shrine of Our Lady of Fatima, and it tells the story of the apparitions of Our Lady that took place 100 years ago. It tells us about the situation in the world today. And Our Lady is really in this book taking us on a pilgrimage, helping us to meet her son Jesus, helping us to recognize that the heart of the world is Jesus and the Eucharist, and that if we open our hearts to him, we can do our part to change the world.
The book is Fatima, A Pilgrimage with Mary by the Marian Press, available through the EWTN Religious Catalog. EWTNRC.com is a place you can find it. This has been a Bookmark Brief. Thanks for stopping by.
EWTN, communicating the faith.
I feel that God has been really doing a work in me in the last 5-10 years. I'm a convert to Catholicism, and I started to just really feel a passion to know more about the Catholic faith, and I started listening to Catholic radio all day. I'm not doing great things, but I'm doing small things with great love.
EWTN. Live truth. Live Catholic.
I'm Brian Patrick.
And I'm Gloria Purvis. Tomorrow, Father Edward Looney.
And executive producer Eric Groth talks about a new movie on St. Paul, Morning Glory on EWTN Radio.
Now back to Take Two with Jerry and Debbie.
Well, it's just Debbie today. Jerry's on a short vacation. He'll be back Friday. But we wanted to keep the show running live to keep the conversation going. So we staggered our short vacations for the first time in 3 years. We're taking a short vacation this summer, and just so that we can be better. We can be better at the show with more topics, be refreshed, and it's always good to take that time away just to recharge our batteries and keep going, like that Energizer Bunny commercial. I love that commercial. I don't know why, but it always just makes me want to get up and dance. I love that commercial. Okay, we're having a lot of social media comments come in. Like Adelia said, I'm 63 and a stroke survivor. I live with my son, and he takes very good care of me. I trust him implicitly and am so grateful. He is my best friend. Adelia, thank you so much for weighing in on that, and we hope you are doing well and full healing for you. We will put you in the prayer book. I just wrote your name down right now. It's a beautiful name. And your son, you're blessed to have your son taking care of you. Unity said on Facebook, it is true that children should look after their parents, but that will only happen when you as parents train your children well. giving them good education and good training. For me, my mom trained us well, but my dad never had time for me. He refused to train us. Wow. That's painful because dads, you got to step up. You got to do your part. And that's really, really important. Francis said, we need to pray for our children and let the Holy Spirit do the rest. Amen to that, Francis. When my children want advice, they will call me. My 30-year-old will text me, and the first word is Mom. And I already know he needs something, and I will call him. We have to love them just the way they are. That sounds like Marianne's advice, too. Francis, you and Marianne should get together. You guys have similar advice. That's awesome. Karen in Atlanta, Georgia, on the Quest Radio has been waiting so patiently. So we're going to bring her on the air and hear what wisdom she has to say about parenting adult children. Hi, Karen. Welcome to Take Two with Jerry and Debbie.
Hi there. I have 3 grown children, boy, girl. 39 is the oldest, 34 is the youngest. And they're either married or in significant relationships. And I have 5 grandchildren. And I have more of a statement and then a question. And one of the things that I and a lot of my friends in the same position with married and grown children commiserate about is the fact that our children so rarely ever call us for advice about things, just even day to day, kind of sticky things. And we were used to our own childhoods or young adulthoods where we would call our mother or our grandmother or our aunt and ask their advice. And we all kind of say we never hear that kind of question from our children. And recently I heard on the radio 2 30-somethings talking about how they never consult their mothers. And the reason why is because everything is so available on the internet. So their first go-to for answers is going to be check out Google. Google it. Mm-hmm. That was such an aha moment for me when I realized, there you go, there's the answer, is that mom's advice isn't necessarily the most current advice. That's kind of where the feeling that I've gotten is that, oh, Mom, you're old hat. Oh, Mom, right. That was so yesterday. So my question to you, or that's a statement that I was like, oh, that light bulb went off in my head. So a statement or a question to you would be, how do you just sit back and acknowledge that's the way it is going to be and it's not going to change? Or is there any, how do you play in that role? How is that role? Can it change? Or is it just that is the way it is today with the millennials?
Well, it's interesting you're saying that because I've actually been guilty of that. I will tell you because when I was raising my children, the internet just started to kind of take hold and everybody was jumping on to find out information and it was just at our fingertips. Before you used to have to pull out encyclopedias and dictionaries and go to the library and research and do everything. And now you don't have to do that. You just type away and there's the answer. But my mother, it used to crack me up because I used to find out information on the internet and I would run back to my mother and I'd say, did you know that olive oil works for this? And my mother said, yes. I've known that all along. If you would just ask me, you didn't have to waste your time. And she kept saying that over and over again. And eventually I started to realize that not only did I want to go to the internet, but I also wanted to go to my mom just to see if she could confirm or deny what I found out on the internet. So it became like a little bit of a game between the two of us. But it was so interesting because my mother knew so much already. She had it all in her head and in her experience and all the years she's lived. She had it all already. And as a matter of fact, I don't think I've really ever shocked her or educated her on anything that I learned on the internet, which is so interesting because if you look at the internet now, you will see, Karen, that they actually have comments from people that can comment on different things that you're learning about, medical issues and food issues and all sorts of stuff. And it'll go back to, well, my grandmother used to say, and people will comment in on that. So right. I think it's right. People are starting to realize that there's wisdom in the generations that have lived before us and that we should tap into that as well as the internet. I don't know how to get that into our children's heads other than maybe they just have to learn and realize. I will tell you, though, something, Karen, that's very frustrating for me, and this is probably off the subject. Mick, please hold on. Don't hang up, because you have some interesting comments. But I will tell you that with my mother being in an assisted living memory care facility for a few years before we put her in a private home, it's very disturbing, because once these seniors get to a certain age, it's like people don't acknowledge them anymore. And it's a general thing. It's really frustrating. And I have said to people all the time, have you ever sat down and asked what this person did in their life? Just ask them what was their career? What were their dreams? What were their hobbies? What did they accomplish? I mean, there's incredible things that have been done by our seniors, and we don't tap into any of it. We just rule them off like, oh, they're in their 70s or 80s, so, they're done. That's not true. So I don't know how to bring that back around, Karen. I think through prayer, and I agree with what our previous Facebook Unity had posted. We've got to train our children well to respect our elders, to respect the wisdom they have and the knowledge. I think, there is a little bit of a disservice with the fact that the internet, everything on the internet is taken hold, and that has become the parent in so many ways. So I don't know. I really don't know how to answer that. It's an interesting dilemma that we're in. What do you think? You probably know the answer. What's the answer, Karen? Give it to us and make it easy for us.
No, I don't have. I wish I did. But my own situation is probably a little bit unique in that respect has always been a big thing, and I did work with my children in the church, within the church, and all of that. And part of the problem is that I'm divorced many years now, and my ex-husband has, although he revered his mother and revered his father, and it was a very Italian family, close knit. They all had dinner Sunday nights together. The antithesis of what you would think of as the good, wholesome Italian family. Unfortunately, because of the divorce, he has chosen to continue to drive a wedge between my children and myself, so that the respect for their mother, my children, don't really have. Because there's always, kind of like what gaslighting is, but it is one of those sad situations that, I'm always on my knees in prayer. There's nothing I can do. Right, I cannot change him. My job is to pray. But so therefore it is sad to see the lack of respect that my children, have. For example, this past Mother's Day, one of the things, acknowledge me and the other mother, the wife's mother, acknowledge us more, kind of a thing. And it's like, well, we have busy lives. So, for example, Mother's Day morning, I got a text message that said, we're taking the children to the pool. If you want to come, feel free to come and bring your lunch.
Ooh,
so the
that's
other
hurtful.
mother and I both agreed we weren't going to go. So that's kind of pervasive. And so again, our job is to pray,
right,
and lead by good example. That's all we can do.
Right.
Pray and lead by good example. But it's just nothing. There's nothing I can do about it.
Right, and it's very hard to instill. Yeah, it's hard to instill that respect in adult children, and sometimes they have to learn from, unfortunately, being a recipient of lack of respect in order to understand the error in their ways. So it's a tough thing, Karen. That's painful, and I have to tell you, my heart goes out to you, because I don't know if you know my story, but I've been the victim of parental alienation for 11 years. And so my children, my two boys, we have a very strained relationship due to outside circumstances out of my control. So it's very, very painful. So my heart goes out to all moms and dads out there who are not being respected. I mean, it's really a tough situation. Karen, though, I want to just share real quickly. Glenn Sweet weighed in from Nebraska, and he just said, Google doesn't give advice with love. Google doesn't give advice with love. And boy, oh boy, isn't that a true statement? Glenn, thank you so much. Karen, maybe that's the answer. Google is this very insensitive way of acquiring information. But as parents, going back to Sylvia's call, we impart our wisdom and our care with love. So just like you said, Karen, I think you did have the answer. Just be that example of love, be that strong woman of faith, and stay focused, fight the good fight. And you know what? Like I said at the beginning of the show, we know the ending of the story. So God wins, and that's an awesome thing. Karen, thank you so much for just being a great mom, a strong mom, a prayerful mom, and we love you. And thank you so much. Have a beautiful rest of your day on the new station, The Quest in Atlanta, Georgia. I love saying that. So God bless you. Thank you. Mick, you have been waiting so patiently. You get our Virtual Patience Award. It's virtual, so I don't know what you're going to do with it, Mick, but it's yours in Indiana on Tri-State Radio. Hi, Mick. Thanks for waiting.
Hi, I'm not sure that I remember exactly all the things I told your screener. I would say that with my children, I have 9 children, 6 girls, 3 boys, ranging from mid-30s to 17. I have a dozen grandkids. And my wife, my kids, it was funny, growing up, my kids could maybe talk back to me a little bit in front of me, but I never allowed them to talk back to their mother. And I think she did the same thing for me. And that that caused respect. But the other thing is if you wait till the crisis to try to establish the relationship, you're too late. And the other thing was somebody commented about when your kids are grown, you're done. Well, my mom called me the other day, and she told, and I'm in my early mid-60s, and my mom called me and told me that my dad was concerned about something, and she told him, well, you don't have to worry about him. He's employed. He's got a good marriage. He's got kids and grandkids. And my dad goes, he's still my son.
Wow.
And so what I have found is my children don't always follow my advice, but they do come seeking it. And and I call my dad, and he's not always right, but I know that I can trust my parents to always give me their very best answer and to do the very best they can for me. And because of that, I trust them more than Google. And they've learned a lot over the years. And I'm starting to see that with my own kids, where they call me periodically for advice. They call their mother for relationship advice. They call me asking how to fix a car or
right
something mechanical usually. But they call for advice. And the big thing is to establish that relationship early.
Right.
And if they're teenagers or young adults, pardon?
No, I like what you said.
Teenagers or young adults, okay, go on.
Real quickly, I just wanted to highlight that. You said establish the relationship before the crisis hits. That's what I wrote down, and I love that because that is very important. You can't go back and try to relearn things about the relationship or respect or anything of that nature. The foundation has to be set. And Mick, you did that with you and your wife did that together. I think that was very brilliant. I don't know if you planned it that way, but that's great advice. So go on, continue on. I want you to finish your thought.
Okay, what I was going to say was that Mark Twain one time said that when he was 14, he was embarrassed to be around his old man because he was so ignorant. And when he turned 21, he was amazed at how much he had learned in 7 years. I think everybody's teenagers at some point think they're stupid, think they're idiots. But as time goes on and life smacks them upside the head, and they marry and different things, they suddenly they see things in a different light. So if you have young adults or you have teenagers that think you're not very smart, wait around. In 5 years, you'll be a whole lot smarter.
You're right, right. When the brain develops, too. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, part of it is just they when they start having responsibility and they suddenly realize they start hearing your voice coming out of their mouth. They start realizing maybe you knew something.
Right. Right. Well, it's interesting you're saying that, Mick, because I shared earlier that I unfortunately have a very strained relationship with my boys. But my oldest son recently said to me that he notices that he's doing the same parenting techniques as I did with him growing up. So I just think that's hilarious. And also my grandbaby looks a little bit like me. So now he gets to stare at me and also parent the way I parented. So you see how it all just repeats itself, Mick.
What children don't realize is they're in an apprenticeship program. And whether you're a good parent or a bad parent, that's where they learn to parent. And that's how they learn. And so that's the good and the bad news, because nobody gets a really good ownership manual when the kids are born.
Very true. Very true. Well, Mick, God bless you. Thank you so much for being a strong husband and father of a big family. I love that. And I just appreciate you weighing in today and sharing with us, because this is a global show, Mick, and there's so many folks listening right now, and they are just sponges. They're absorbing. So what you had to say definitely could impact their family life and for future generations. So thank you for that. God bless you, Mick. Have a beautiful rest of your day in Indiana, and we appreciate you getting the virtual Patience Award and waiting so patiently. Okay, I wanted to just quickly say, and then we're going to go to Eileen. Eileen, hold on one second. I have to mention this. This is so fascinating. So those of you in New Jersey, you'll get a kick out of this. Church Pop. Have you ever heard of Church Pop? Church Pop features new online Christian content that is fun, informative, and inspirational. And you can find it on Snapchat, Instagram, and on the web at churchpop.com. And what I love about it is it comes into my inbox at about 3 o'clock in the morning. So that's like one of the first things I look at in the morning. The coolest articles. I've learned so much. They just did a great article on what Pope Francis had to say about aborting disabled children. Oh my goodness. It was a powerful article. There's so many articles, but this one just, Rich Jesse just brought to my attention. I can't wait to read it. Apparently Bruce Springsteen, Church Pop did an article on Bruce Springsteen, and he talked about growing up in Freehold, New Jersey, and how God was all around him, and it played an influence on him and in his songwriting. So it's very, very interesting how God permeates. God is there, whether we recognize him or not. And it sounds like Bruce Springsteen recognized that and gave credit to God, and all glory and praise to God. So it's an interesting article. I can't wait to read it. So those of you from back east, you want to hear about that, how God is around songwriting, especially with the boss, Bruce Springsteen, then check out Church Pop today. Okay, Eileen, you are up next in Brentwood, Maryland on EWTN app. Hi, Eileen. Welcome.
Hi, Deb. It's been a while. So, hi. I had to chime in. Are you getting too much feedback, too much wind? Are you okay? Can you hear me?
Well, we can hear you, but
okay.
There sounds like you're a little bit in a wind tunnel. If you can get closer to your microphone.
Okay. Hopefully that's a little better.
Yes.
So I had to chime in. I've got two kids. I realized that this is, I wasn't even going to call in. I've got two grown kids, 23 and 32. And I decided to call because I know that there's a lot of parents out there who have some pretty serious stuff that their kids are doing and would never call out of shame. So I decided to go ahead and be that guy. Because my kids are making some really, really bad decisions. And I have 2 points. One, my kid's father killed himself drinking and driving when they were very young. But we were separated because of the alcohol. And I called his mother, the kid's grandmother, several times and said, hey, look, I know alcoholism, and he's on his last leg. Please, do something about his drinking. And she denied it. Well, 6 months later, we're at the funeral. And I remember looking at his mother over the grave, and I thought, oh, my goodness, can you imagine having that level of regret, knowing that someone warned you and you could have done something, which leads me to my first rule of parenting older kids. I promised that I would never, ever be in her position, ever. So I have to look at my kids' behavior and think, worst case scenario here. What if their behavior, A, winds them up in jail for 20 years, or B, has them kill themselves drinking and driving? So I have to know that I did everything that I could.
Mm-hmm.
And that's my number one rule. And I had a situation where, and this is the embarrassing part, but I had a situation where my daughter, I smelled marijuana. So I went into her room, and I followed my nose, and I found a very large bag. And I said, okay, all right, first thing how we're going to handle this is you're going to tell me who sold this to you, and I'm going to go see them personally and get your money back. Okay, that's the first thing we're going to do here, okay? And she's, no, you can't. I'm like, oh, yeah, you know what I mean? Because if you don't let me, I'm just going to have to call the police, and they'll get it out of you.
Right.
The embarrassing thing is, she says, Mom, you're going to get really mad. And I'm like, Susan, just tell me his name, and I'm going to go get the money. She said it was Sean, my son. Okay?
So your son sold your daughter the marijuana?
Gosh, right. So I'm like, my kids are selling marijuana. I'm like, what do I do with this? You know, it's absolutely the worst day of my life, okay?
Mm-hmm.
So, and both of them are grown, right, out of the house. But I had to make a decision. Worst case scenario, could I live with thinking that I did nothing if my son winds up in jail for 20 years?
Right.
And I couldn't. So I wound up having to call the police on him. And that was really tough. So it's called tough love, you know, really tough love. And one of the things that I've always had with my kids is communication with respect to, hey, guys, you know what? No matter how big the problem is, no matter what you've done, no matter how angry the other one gets, we still communicate. We cannot go years with unforgiveness. We can't do it, you know? So let's always keep that in mind. So my son called me 2 months ago and said, Mom, you better call Susan. I think she's planning on doing something really stupid. Okay? She's dating a guy whose visa is expired. Planning on marrying him so he could stay in the state. Okay? Dumb, and dumber, right? So I took her out, and I explained to her the legal ramifications, did everything that I could, you know?
Right.
And I love him. Okay, all right. But I went and I found the nitty-gritty, okay? So, like, what, she could go to jail, the whole nine. Anyway, so she called me last weekend.
About 30 seconds, Eileen. We're up against the clock.
Okay. So she said, I got married. Okay. All right.
Oh, my goodness.
So, right? So she got married at courthouse. And my response to her was, honey, I love you. I cannot celebrate this with you.
Oh.
You know that.
Right.
You know? And and the bottom line is, you have a God. He loves you very much. You know? Start thanking him or asking him for advice because you're not listening. I wish I could celebrate this with you. I just can't.
Right.
You know? So I think when parenting older kids, we just don't alienate them.
Right. And Eileen, it sounds like you've kept the open communication, those lines of communication, but you're going to talk the real truth to them. You're going to be very honest with them and what the consequences are to their actions. And I think that is very, very helpful because sometimes we kind of gloss over it because we don't want to hurt the relationship. But you know what? The truth is the truth. So thank you, Eileen, for weighing in on that. Tomorrow's show, first of all, you guys all did a great job. Mary and the others, sorry we couldn't get to you. Please, you can always email us at take2, the number 2 at EWTN.com. Tomorrow's show is about missed opportunities. Have you ever had any missed opportunities in your life that you just want another crack at? You just want to do it again. You could kick yourself, but you won't kick yourself. But let's talk about that tomorrow on Take 2 with Jerry and Debbie. Again, Jerry's on a short vacation, so you just have me, so I need your phone calls. But until tomorrow, have a beautiful and blessed day. We'll see you real soon.